What's up, folks, and welcome to Indie Ramble. So, I am a big fan of platformers, but I don't tend to be a big fan of hardcore platformers, or some people call them torture platformers. That is, games that require a very, very high degree of precision and practice, and that have a skill floor that's very, very high. I respect that genre. I respect the heck out of people who get really good at it. I just am not patient enough for it. But that's what this one is, and this kind of came onto my radar unexpectedly, and I wanted to check it out because it looked interesting from what I saw initially. So this is the Legend of Gwen, and I'll put out here up front that though this game is on PC and Switch, and it does have the same publisher listed for both, the publisher insisted on sending me a Switch key. And, well, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think they should have, because it does not paint this game in the most favorable light. So you're probably seeing here, as I'm walking around this sort of hub world, what the frame rate's like. Yeah, that's not my capture. That's the way this runs. Now, it does run better in the levels themselves, which I'm going to show you, but this sort of paints an idea of the kind of thing that you're in for. And, you know, the art style is okay, I guess. It's not amazing. I'm going to put it that way. But so I've only played a handful of levels of this, and I wanted to do a video on it because I know there is a group of people who are into this kind of game, but I was able to tell very early that I wasn't. And I didn't, but I wanted to show it off because I know some of those people may see this and otherwise miss out on something interesting, but I could tell that this is very much not for me. So you're playing this witch, and the main thing that you have to do in order to complete the level is get all the stars within it. There are also blue gems that you can pick up, which will help you to unlock upgrades and other parts of the open world map there. I haven't done any of that because I've only gotten a handful of levels into this game so far. But you can't leave the level until you have all the stars. Now, the levels have definitely some difficult platforming challenges within them. Now, that was entirely my fault, but and there's also a time limit. And in most platformers, the time limit kind of doesn't matter. Most of the time, it's only designed to cause a problem for people who are really taking their time or slowing things up. The timer in this is arguably probably one of your greatest adversaries in the game. It is the game does not necessarily give you a lot of time to get through a level, and it's probably going to take you a number of attempts to get, especially the later levels, without running out the timer. It requires you to really learn the layout and plan your route and really make sure you optimize your run in order to beat it within the time limit. I was a little surprised by that because you rarely see a time limit in a platformer that really means anything. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing. So as you can see here, the screen is rotating. I'm doing that. You do that with the trigger buttons on the controller. And that is because you see that this is obviously a 3D game, but there's perspective that you have to deal with. So during some of the jumps, you're going to have to try to make jumps that are a little bit particular in terms of where your position is and relative to the environment around you. So you see there that target that says, "Hit me to open the chest." So you can do that, but you see how far away that is, right? And you've got to line that shot up precisely if you want to hit the thing properly. And though you can deal with different challenges in the levels from multiple different angles, it will definitely behoove you to pick the best angle in order to make sure that you can get the best perspective for your jump. And that's kind of the main goal of this. Now, you saw before that there are enemies in the levels, and you see I missed that one there. So it really requires you to learn the positioning and the momentum of your character and how you can best utilize your character's inertia in order to get where you need to go. So, there are enemies in this. You don't have to take them out. You can, though. You have unlimited shots of your little of your wand that you can use to damage enemies with magical attacks. So, and you see, I missed that star there by just a hair. So, you see what I mean when I say that this is a hardcore platformer. It's going to require a lot of repetition and a lot of practice in order to just get through some of these levels the first time, forget maxing them out. You know, this is the first level right here. And I've only gotten 4 levels into this, and there is a lot more to it than that. There are actually a fairly decent number of levels in this, so it's not short on time in terms of the amount of time it can provide you, because if the initial levels are this hard, it's obviously going to take a lot of time in order to get super good at all of them. So that is something to keep in mind, in that in terms of playtime value, I think this probably has quite a bit of it. So I'm going to exit back out here to the hub world so I can give you an idea here. But there's quite a bit going on in this, and there's undoubtedly other things that you can unlock later on, other powers and other abilities and other mechanics within the levels that are going to make things tricky, right? So there's definitely a lot you can do in this, and so that base option will take you back right to the start of the level, and you can see. Now, there also is here, as you can see, something called checkpoint magic, which probably will make the levels easier. I assume that unlocks checkpoints in the levels, but it requires 500 gems. So, you know, it's going to take a while to get there. But you have a lot of different options for different worlds in this that you can go to and things that you can check out. So there's a lot of content in here. But I got to tell you, if this is a game that you're interested in, do not play this on the Switch, play it on the PC. Like I said before, I am quite surprised that the publisher chose to send me the Switch version, because this version runs horribly. It just, you've seen the frame rate, you see how it's very inconsistent. It might be a little harder to see on the video, but this game, I think, is targeting 30 frames a second, but it's frequently not hitting it. Oh, well, thank you for telling me I downloaded the demo Switch. It regularly doesn't hit it. The frame timings are all over the place, and the input lag on this is absolutely horrendous. And if there's one thing you don't want in a hardcore precision platformer, it's input lag. So this isn't because of my capture device. I have tried this game in 3 different ways. So we are playing through my capture device right now, which is, an Elgato HD60 Pro, so not an uncommon one. Capture devices do introduce latency. There's no way around that. But I've also played this game on my Switch, docked, attached to my OLED TV. And I've also played it, and this is how I initially played the game because I was on vacation when I got the code for this. I played this in handheld mode. Which is basically the closest to the metal, if you will, experience you can get on the Switch in terms of input latency. It didn't help. None of it helped. It doesn't run any better in docked mode or handheld mode. Some games will run better in one or the other because of the way the Switch clocks its GPU differently. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And the input lag just makes playing this, it's already going to be frustrating to play because that's the nature of this genre of game to begin with. But when you introduce poor frame timing and latency like this, it just becomes borderline unplayable. And that's the thing. You need consistency in frame rate and input latency in a game like this. It is that is the most key thing that you need in something like this, and the Switch version of this just doesn't have it. And to be frank with you, it doesn't look good enough to justify the performance. The art style in this is pretty basic, and it's games that look a lot better than this on the Switch run a lot better. And I just think this version is very poor. I'm sure if you bought the PC version of this, which does have relatively low system requirements according to the Steam page, and you ran this on even a modest computer by today's standards, you'd have a much better experience. Now, that said, this game is still a niche title, and there's no two ways around that. Now, to be fair, I think that's the way this game is being pitched. You know, it's called, in its Steam description, it's called a hardcore platformer. So this isn't made for everybody. This is made for people who want that significant challenge. And I'll tell you, that's not me. But as I've told you before, I don't cover games that I think are abjectly bad on Indie Ramble. I will cover a game that I don't think is for me, but that I can tell would be potentially for other people and that other people might like. And this is definitely one of those. If you're into precision platformers, you don't necessarily care about, you know, fancy art styles and high-level fidelity and things like that. You know, people, some of the most popular, you know, Kaizo platformers out there are games that look like they came off an NES. You know, that's not really what the point of the exercise is. The point is the accomplishment and the getting good and maximizing the levels. And the levels in this certainly do present a significant challenge, and I imagine if you put in the time and you put in the effort to get good and to learn the mechanics and learn the controls and learn how to best manage this, then yeah, it could be quite satisfying for you. I think if you're into hardcore platformers, you absolutely should give this a look. This did at one point have a demo on Steam, which is no longer up. I think that's kind of weird. I think a demo would definitely help a game like this out, because it will help sell it to that hardcore crowd who might otherwise not have heard of it, right? And I think that would be a good idea for them to do on both platforms. But honestly, and I don't like to be mean, but this Switch version should not have shipped like this. This needs way more optimization to be at any kind of acceptable level in terms of performance in order to accommodate this kind of genre. I mean, yes, could people who are way better at this genre than me beat this despite these performance and lag things? I have no doubt of it. I mean, there are people out there who've beaten Souls games with guitar controllers and using, you know, only their voice and stuff. The hardcore gamers can do just about anything. I can tell you that right now. But this is not the ideal way to play it. And given this sort of basic art style, I think this level of performance is just not acceptable. So I think if you're going to play this, I think you should get the PC version. As I said, I find it very strange that the publisher kind of insisted I play this on the Switch. When I saw they were publishing it on PC, I was like, hey, you know, Nintendo usually limits how many press codes developers can give out to Switch people, so I said, if it's easier, feel free to give me a Steam code, and they sent me a Switch code. So this is the version they wanted me to look at, and I can only give you impressions of what's in front of me. And what's in front of me in this version of the game is not good. Hopefully the PC version is quite a bit better. And as I said before, this is not a game for me. I won't be playing any more of this after I've finished recording this, and that's not because the game is bad. That's because I'm not good at games like this. And this isn't for me, but I know there are people out here who crave anything in this genre that comes out. And because these games, precision platformers like this, are very hard to make, and we don't see them very often. So, you know, the more we can get, the more these people can get, the better. And if you're one of those people and you're watching this, I think this is something you should have on your radar on PC. Definitely. So, yeah, that is The Legend of Gwen. I know this is very, very early impressions, and that I usually like to play a lot more of games like this, or before I do impressions, but I could tell very early that, like I said, while there is a market for this, I am not it. And honestly, I did want to put out a little bit of a PSA about this Switch version, because yeah, this version of it shouldn't have shipped like this. That's just, yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. If you liked what you saw here, please do all the normal YouTube things, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Leave a comment down below. Tell me if you are a hardcore precision platformer fan. Does this interest you? You know, do you want to pick this up? You know, are you someone who's actually played the Switch version and thinks I'm being too mean to it? I'd like to hear what you think about that. I think that could be an interesting discussion as well. And if you like other types of games like this, or of better ones that have come out recently, let me know, because I wouldn't mind knowing about those as well. And as always, you can follow me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction for multiple variety streams a week. I cover other indie games over there, as well as retro stuff, and a lot of things that are better suited to streaming than YouTube. We have a fantastic community there, and I'd love to see you be a part of it. Thanks again, all, and I'll see you on the next Indie Ramble. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take her easy.